Okay, well, we'll be starting in just a second, guys. Why did that not post? No. All right, if you didn't know, I finally got Google Plus to work, so I got the comment section back. If you would prefer me to use the version that has the chat room, please let me know. I wonder if that version might work better for the Impact streams, while the comment section I think will work better for the Comic Show post-show, which returns tomorrow night. If you didn't see the video. Anyway, let's talk about Impact Wrestling. So this is our last episode before Bound for Glory this Sunday. And thanks to TNA wasting a whole lot of time on that GFW nonsense, this was just about the only episode we had to build this up. Well, some of the build-up was last week, but essentially it was one. It was just this show. So naturally, they had a lot on their plate. And, well, I was wondering, going in here, how were they going to do this? How were they going to pull this off? Were they going to make good use of their time? I mean, they got 2 hours. There's no reason why they can't give every match in the Bound for Glory card at least some kind of build-up. Now, granted, they didn't really have a Bound for Glory card coming into this show, but, you know, announcing matches is an easy thing to do. At least it seems easy on paper. Anyway, let's find out what TNA did here, shall we? We start out with EC3, who thankfully is in hype mode for Bound for Glory. He starts talking about Drew Galloway, but then unfortunately he has to bring out Dixie Carter instead, who I guess thought that Drew needed her endorsement, when in fact he's probably better off without it at this point. Drew comes out pretty quickly, though. They go through all the rhetoric. You turned your back on the company, blah, blah, blah. Even though EC3 did defeat PJ Black, stopping him from stealing the TNA World title and bringing it to Global Force Wrestling. They didn't bother to mention that part. Convenient. Now, after they get past that stuff, there is some genuinely good pay-per-view hype in this promo. And these guys did their best to sell this thing with what they were given. And despite the complete lack of build-up up until tonight, one thing this match does have going for it is a little bit of intrigue, because these guys have done almost nothing together. I think they had a match over the summer a few months back, but you know, they really haven't gone near each other since then. You know, they've been built up as individuals, yes, but separately. You know, it's not a match that's been done a million times before. You know, it's pretty fresh, actually, and there's something to be said for that. Could have been done without Dixie Carter's involvement, but a pretty good segment here. Then we have James Storm versus Mahabali Shera, hyped up with a decent video package here, chronicling their history, and they seem to have enough history that this could have been a Bound for Glory match. You know, especially seeing as how the Bound for Glory card is being thrown together at the last minute, apparently. Excuse me. I'm not saying it would have been the most scintillating BFG match ever, but it would have been something. You know, at least it might have been, it might have more going on than the let's get as many guys as possible on the card at one time clusterfuck match, which will be getting a spot on the Bound for Glory card, apparently, because we could never see one of those on Impact, right? Could they seriously not get James Storm for one more show? Whatever. The match is okay, I suppose. Eventually, Manic and Abyss come out and they tease being back with Storm, and he falls for it because he's an idiot. And then they turn on him, which everyone but Storm saw coming, and Shera wins. So at least they put the new guy over the guy who was leaving the company. That would seem like a no-brainer, but TNA haven't always made the right decision in that situation. So there's that. Down. It's an inoffensive TV segment, but if it did anything to hype Bound for Glory on Sunday, I don't know what that thing is. So Bobby Roode comes out after this, and he cuts a promo about what the King of the Mountain title stands for. And right there, immediately I tune out. Okay, trying to make that belt mean something is a surefire way for me not to give a shit. That belt is fucking worthless. It is a joke, and no amount of open challenges is going to change that, no matter who his opponent is. The ironic thing is that Bobby Roode versus Lashley is a pretty big match, even though we've seen it before. I mean, if you've got to get both these guys on the card at the last minute, that's a good way to do it. But the fact that they're going to be fighting over the King of the Mountain title, just... why? You created that title as a vanity belt for Jeff Jarrett when you invited him back, for God's sake. Why is it still a thing after Jarrett fucking turned on you and tried to take over your fucking company? This is stupid. So they have a quick exchange where Bobby Roode shows that his personality has once again abandoned him, and Lashley, well, he never had one to begin with. I really hope them making nice so much is a sign that Roode is about to turn heel again, but at this point, who knows? Then Tommaso Ciampa shows up. Okay, I don't know where this came from, but they have this random-ass triple threat match here with Ciampa, DJZ, and Trevor Lee from GFW, who, along with Brian Myers, has a tag title rematch with the Wolves at Bound for Glory. Or so the announcers tell us. So as it turns out, former champions do in fact still get rematches in this company. I don't know why Brooke didn't get one against Gail Kim, but why should we expect the writers to explain something like that? The match is pretty good. Now, of course, the GFW guy wins. I still don't know where Ciampa came from, why he was there, or if he's staying, but it was nice to see him. You know, I'm kind of scratching my head here. Then we have the Dollhouse versus the Beautiful People in a 3-on-2 handicap match. Handicap match because Angelina has a broken arm that's going to take approximately 9 months to heal. Another match that seems to have nothing to do with Bound for Glory here. It's a pretty standard match. Not everyone in this is a good wrestler, so they had to make do. Thankfully, sanity prevails and the Dollhouse win the match. That's all I care about. And since this new, quote-unquote, badass version of the Boringful People has reformed, Angelina has gotten her arm broken in a pitiful backstage brawl, and they've lost their first match as a group. Badass indeed. We get a video package for Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong. So this actually was a segment. This actually doing something to hype Bound for Glory. And instead of trying to find a new spin on this rivalry to make it interesting in a new way, they're just going to be fighting over the title at Bound for Glory to find out who's the best. Real creative. Really creative. Then Eric Young comes out, upset about getting beat by Chris Melendez last week. So he complains about that. And then Robbie E comes out for some reason to get in his face. Thankfully, EY makes short work of him. But then Melendez comes out. Then Anderson comes out. And they all triple team Eric and kick his ass. Okay. I'm not sure what was accomplished here. And I'm not sure how this builds up Eric and makes him look strong for his match with Kurt Angle at Bound for Glory. Yeah, Angle's back. Oh, and what a great way to bring Angle back with a bang, huh? Facing a guy who just lost a match in ridiculously easy fashion to a one-legged man. And then got his ass kicked 3-on-1. Oh, yeah, he looks real dangerous, right? He looks like a really huge handful for Kurt Angle now, doesn't he? So instead of trying to make Eric Young look dangerous and look like a threat before his match with Kurt Angle at Bound for Glory this Sunday, they decide that tearing him down would be a better idea. Brilliant. Real brilliant booking there. That brings us to our main event, EC3 and Tyrus versus Drew Galloway and Matt Hardy. With the stipulation that if the faces win, Matt gets into the main event world title match at Bound for Glory. Because Dixie thought that's something that would make the Bound for Glory main event more interesting. Matt Hardy would. Look. God bless Matt. I've got nothing against the guy, but he does not need to be competing for the world title at Bound for Glory, or at all. So, of course, the babyfaces win. Matt gets into the world title match, and I just think this is stupid. EC3 beat him fair and square. Matt had no argument for a rematch. And now here he is getting another shot at the title despite doing nothing to really earn it. He didn't even get the pin in this match. Drew did. I'd like to think that Matt is only going to be in the world title match to eat the pin so as to protect EC3 and Drew. But the cynic in me thinks that Jeff, who Dixie then announces as the special guest referee for this match, despite Jeff quitting / being fired 1 week ago, will probably get involved and help Matt win. I really, really hope it doesn't go down that way. I see no reason for EC3 to lose the world title at Bound for Glory, or any time soon for that matter, and certainly not to Matt Hardy. And that's not the EC3 fanboy in me talking. That's the guy who likes enjoyable, entertaining television in me talking. EC3 has been the most entertaining and dynamic world champion this company has had in fucking ages. Why ruin a good thing when his title reign isn't even getting close to stale yet? You get a good thing with EC3 as your world champion, TNA. Let's keep that train going as long as we can. I mean, if anyone really thinks Matt Hardy would be a more interesting world champion, then please think a little harder. I urge you. And is it just me, or does Matt look strangely heelish in this situation? He gets added to the main event of the company's biggest show of the year, getting practically handed a world title match, a world title shot that he didn't have to earn, that Drew Galloway basically won for him, and then his brother, who has a grudge against the world champion, is going to be the referee. to be honest, in a weird way, Matt is coming off like a heel who's getting the odds stacked against him and stacked in his favor here. Strange. Here's something I thought I ought to bring up. If you think about it, this stipulation was kind of an incentive for Drew Galloway to throw the match, the tag match. Because why would Drew want his title match at Bound for Glory to be a triple threat? That makes it harder for him. Not saying he would or should have done that because he's a babyface. I just thought I'd bring it up. I mean, you can make an argument for Drew not being in this match either because it's still a bit of a hard sell after the 3MB thing. But at the very least, Drew Galloway did earn his way into the match. What did Matt do? Nothing really. This almost felt like Matt getting charity. And that makes me kind of resent Matt a little bit, which makes him come off strangely heelish. And I don't think that was the intention. As a regular Impact, this was passable. As a Bound for Glory go-home show, it was kind of half-assed. There were a number of segments here that did not seem to have anything to do with the pay-per-view at all, leaving me wondering why the hell they were doing this instead of something to hype pay-per-view matches, like the Ultimate X for the X Division title, for example, which they did absolutely fucking nothing to hype here. I think they announced the other participants in it at one point, but I confess I don't even remember who they are. That's how little of an impression that announcement made. So that was our go-home show. So what does Bound for Glory look like this Sunday? Off the top of I can't even name the full card off the top of my head. Let's go to the TNA website here. Okay. Bound for Glory card. Bound for Glory card. Here we go. Okay, so we have Manic in an Ultimate X match versus 3 mystery opponents. So this graphic has not been updated, even though they announced who the mystery opponents would be during Impact tonight. I think. Like I said, it kind of just went by really quickly. They didn't really make they didn't really make the announcement like it was anything important, but I think they did announce who these people were, and then neglected to update the graphic. That's a real well-oiled machine you got working on the website there, TNA. We got Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong for the Knockouts title in a match to find out who's the best. That an issue like that works if it's like the first time these two are facing, or the first time they feuded. But the first time they feuded was like 8 years ago. You needed some kind of new spin on this to make it interesting. Story-wise. I'm sure it'll be a great match, but it's so obviously thrown together at the last minute, it's kind of embarrassing. And then we have our get as many people as possible on the show in one match. A Bound for Gold match. I'm not sure what that means. Are they fighting for I'm assuming they're going to fight for a title shot. Because we needed this on the show instead of something with build-up. And in that match, it's going to be Anderson, Mahabali, Shera, Tyrus, Eli Drake, Robbie E, Jesse Goddard's. Oh, look at that. Chris Melendez is in there. Abyss and and Aiden O'Shea, who is, I guess, the new persona of a former gut chick winner. Whose name just fell out of my head. For some reason, I don't know why. Yeah, because he was such a force to be reckoned with during his first run, right? When he was losing every single match. So now let's put him in a match for a title shot, Bound for Glory. Yeah, that makes sense. Then we have the Wolves versus the two GFW guys, who have a rematch for the titles, even though former champions on the TNA roster don't usually get rematches when they lose the title. But guys from another company, they get a rematch. Okay, I'll let this one slide just because there apparently are no other fucking tag teams on this roster for the Wolves to feud with. And this, at least, does have some sort of build-up, ill-conceived though it may be. And finally, we have, for the World Heavyweight Championship, EC3 versus Drew Galloway. And another graphic that has not been updated. Even though the show, which added Matt to this match, was taped weeks and weeks and weeks ago. They still haven't they didn't bother to update the graphic. And there's your hype for TNA's biggest show of the year. A pay-per-view that's so important that it doesn't even merit updated match graphics. Great job selling this, TNA. You really made it look worth the money to order this one. Oh, boy. If you got any questions or comments, put them in the comments section below. No comments yet. Okay, well, all right. Anyway, that's my review. Like I said, I think maybe having the chat room for the Impact review is probably a better idea. But that's my thoughts on Impact this week. Not a great sell job for Bound for Glory, I have to say. There are a few matches here for the pay-per-view that look sort of intriguing, although I mostly care about the main event just because EC3's in it. I do not think Matt Hardy needs to be in this match. I think they're doing that just because the show is in Charlotte. And I am actually quite nervous that they're going to put Matt over in this match and have him win the title when that is really not necessary. I don't see him being any kind of draw as a world champion outside of his hometown. And you got a good thing going with EC3. Don't fucking ruin it now. You know, it is not necessary for Matt to win this match. It is not necessary for EC3 to lose that match. It'd be a really stupid decision. Just saying. You know, I'm actually going to be working Sunday night, so I'm not going to be able to watch this show, at least not live. Even if I wasn't working, I would seriously be debating whether or not I would watch this. It's just they didn't really make it seem like it's worth my money. I don't even know if it's worth my time, all things considered. This was obviously thrown together with very little effort at the last minute in a show that's supposed to be your biggest show of the whole year, and that's ridiculous. You know, even if you had to have the GFW stuff going on, even if that had to climax when it did, there were still other things you could have done to set up Bound for Glory. If the writers had just planned ahead. The fact that they didn't or wouldn't or couldn't is very distressing. And quite frankly, it's a sign why Dixie Carter should get some new fucking writers. Because this writing team is just not getting the job done. I don't know what else to say about this. Pretty pedestrian impact, all things considered, and it's a go-home show for Bound for Glory. How can you possibly give this a good rating? How can you do it? I still don't even know what the full card is. Okay, the announcement of the other guys in the X Division match went by so quick, I missed it. And you don't even have the fucking updated match graphic on the website. You don't have a fucking updated match graphic for the main event. That shows how important this match, this show is to TNA. Not very, clearly. So why should it be important to me, the viewer? The person who's supposed to be paying money for this stuff. You think about that, TNA. I don't know if I'm going to watch Bound for Glory, honestly. Again, I can't watch it live. I'll be working. There are replays available, I guess, but will I watch a replay? I don't know. I got to be honest. I really don't want to spend money on this. On this, money's tight. I don't have a lot of money to spend on extra stuff like this, so I gotta budget stuff. It's like, okay, is this worth the money I'd spend on it? I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But I'll be honest. I was saying this is most likely gonna be, coming off like a glorified one night only show, and that's pretty much what it is. At least with more storyline continuity than those things have. So we'll see, I guess. Though I admit, I'm not excited for this show. Excuse me. I'm just not. I don't know what else to say. And apparently neither do you guys. So maybe we'll stick with the chat room for the Impact reviews. Anyway, that's it for me. I've gone on about this for a little over half an hour. I think that's a good place to stop for an Impact review. Said what I needed to say. Also, before I leave, one more time, the Comic Show Post Show Season 2 begins tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern. So we got the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season premiere to talk about. Also, we're going to talk about Heroes Reborn, I guess. I don't have a lot to say about Heroes Reborn, but it happened. It's sort of a comic book type of show. It has had comic books written about it. So I guess it qualifies. So we'll talk about that. We got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. A lot of stuff happened on that show that I'm itchy to talk about. So we got that coming up tomorrow night. So don't miss that. I will talk to you then. Until then, this has been the Impact Wrestling Review. And that'll be it for the night. Thanks for joining us. I will talk to you tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern. Good night.